Hotels in San Francisco that were used as homeless shelters by the city during the pandemic are asking for millions of dollars for repairs after the tenants trashed the places. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the fact that they used these hotels as homeless shelters in the city of San Francisco, and the results were just what you would expect, okay? The tenants, they trashed the places, they tore them apart, and there was just millions and millions of dollars in damage in each one of the hotels that was used. And now they're begging the city of San Francisco to give them the compensation they need to get their properties back in working order. Okay, I could have told you that this was going to happen. It is an absolute nightmare to deal with a lot of the homeless people who are just, they have mental health issues, they have drug problems, and, they really didn't get those things worked out. They were so worried about, oh, we don't want to spread the virus. We want to get these people off the street. And they didn't think about, well, this is going to be a big issue, So, the article I have today is going over the whole thing. It's telling you the details of just how much these hotels are asking. And it's millions of dollars for each hotel, which means there was significant damage, okay? This was not just, oh, yeah, a little mess on the floor. No, there was extreme property damage caused by the use of these hotels as homeless shelters. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Do you believe that using a hotel as a homeless shelter is a good idea? Okay, do you think that's the best way to use taxpayer money, by putting homeless people into these hotels? And I'm not just talking about cheap, roll up motels. No, I'm talking about they were housing homeless people in 4 and 5-star hotels in San Francisco. So they were, just wasting a ton of money, in my opinion. Now, the fact that they actually shut down a lot of these businesses during the pandemic, maybe they thought they were somehow compensating these businesses for the losses that they, forced upon them. But I don't know. All I know is that these hotels need this money to get, operating normally again. So let's get into the article. This article is coming from sfist.com, and it says, San Francisco hotels that served as pandemic homeless shelters continue seeking millions in damages from city. Whew, let's get into the story. The full accounting of what it cost the city of San Francisco to provide emergency shelter in the form of hotel rooms to homeless individuals during the height of the pandemic is still likely many months away. But now there's the question of what actual damage was done inside these hotels and how much the city should pony up for it. The assessments of actual damage inside hotels like the Hotel Union Square and the Tilden Hotel, which have filed millions of dollars in damage claims following the end of their use as shelter-in-place hotels, is still somewhat opaque. But the Chronicle now reports that while there may be damage suits pending from 4 hotels and counting, a city agency has already recommended a payout north of $5 million to settle just one of them. So yeah, a city agency in San Francisco has already said, hey, you know what? This is actually what the damages are, and so we want to settle, and we'll give you $5 million. That was one hotel, okay? They say that 4 other hotels, and probably a lot more than those 4, are actually requesting payouts for the damages they got for this shelter in place. Creating a shelter in place hotel for a bunch of, homeless people, and then not putting any services in place to make sure that there weren't problems caused by these people. That was a bad idea, okay? And I know that they don't understand that, but now they're going to see the consequences, okay? What do you think as a taxpayer when you hear, hey, we're putting up homeless people who are, using and abusing drugs into 4 and 5-star hotels? What do you think? Do you think that's a good idea? Okay, even with the pandemic, I don't think that was a good idea. We learned in May that multiple hotel owners were coming after the city for damages caused by individuals who lived in their rooms for months between 2020 and 2021, and this was hardly surprising. As Supervisor Aaron Peskin put it in an understatement to the Chronicle, when we rapidly housed 3,700 people, we were aware that some of them would be tough customers. Tough customers? Okay, tough customers is what they're calling it. Now, I'm not saying that the majority of the homeless people in there were causing this sort of damage. What I am saying, though, is that a higher percentage of homeless people being in this property meant that there was going to be way more damage than there were with regular paying customers, okay? And we know that within the homeless population everywhere, including here, that homeless people have much higher rates of substance abuse and mental illness issues, okay? And on top of that, there's a lot of homeless people who have very lengthy and extensive criminal records, right? So I imagine that there were issues of theft and property damage and drug use and all sorts of problems going on in the hotel that have caused them to need, for just one hotel, more than $5 million to fix all the problems. So it says they had 3,700 people who were in these hotels at one time. So that's a lot of hotel rooms being taken up. Peskin is less than trusting, though, of what hotels are claiming in terms of damages. He tells the Chronicle the city will pay for whatever real damage has been caused at its actual cost. But, he adds, if they think they're going to fleece San Francisco, we'll litigate. It remains to be seen what litigation will come out of a $5.6 million damage claim by owner of the Hotel Union Square. The city initially offered them $400,000 for damage repairs, but fast forward to this month, and the Chronicle reports that members of the city's Government Audit and Oversight Committee met in closed session to consider a recommendation from the city's Human Services Agency to settle the claim for some $5.3 million. So yeah, the officials are saying, hey, we got to settle this for $5.3 million. The hotel is asking for $5.6 million, and I guarantee they're not fleecing the city. Okay, they have all their I's dotted and all their T's crossed. Okay, they've got receipts for the actual cost of repairing all the damages, and I guarantee that this person, this supervisor who thinks that they're going for a money grab, you really think that a big business like this is going to risk breaking the law and looking bad by throwing out a false estimate? No, they were doing this, housing these homeless people, as a favor to the city. They weren't doing it because they wanted to, come and grab an extra $5 million. No, that's the actual amount of repairs they had to do on their property because of these tenants. Multiply that settlement by at least 4, with the Tilden Hotel, the Good Hotel, Hotel Vertigo also having made similar claims. The Tildens was $6.5 million, and we don't know what the Chicago-based owner of the latter two is seeking. And the city is looking at a bill north of $20 million. The Chronicle is pegging it at least $10 million. However, the real numbers seem likely to be far higher, with 25 hotels participating, and, as the paper notes, some SIP hotels only recently began winding down operations. The Tilden Hotel remains closed to the public, but the other 3 have reopened for regular hotel guests, so presumably most damages have been fixed. ? So yeah, these hotels are actually still doing this. I mean, at least in the case of this Tilden Hotel, is still housing homeless people. So the city not only spent all of the money, to actually house these people for, it sounds like years at this point, but now is going to have to cover all these damages, right? And if the hotels are all coming up with similar numbers, they're all saying, hey, $5 million, $6 million plus dollars to do the repairs, well, it should be pretty obvious that this is the actual amount. It's not just one, hotel or one owner which is trying to, scam or cheat the government out of money. No. Okay? So, in the end, what lesson do we learn from all of this, okay? The government has these great plans that they implement and put in place, right? And they're just they turn out horrible, okay? When the government gets involved in anything, it's just a ton. You're going to lose a ton of money. It's going to cost way more than it would if they had just built regular shelters in the first place to house these people, okay? Or just said, no, you'll be just fine out on the streets. If you don't want to come into a shelter, we're not going to force you. But, when you give out these sort of handouts, guess what? People they're going to take it. I mean, if I was living on the street and somebody said, hey, you can come stay in this 5-star hotel for the next 4 months, I'd be like, hell yeah, here I come. So yeah, I hope they learned their lesson from all of this nonsense.